Welcome back to the Retro Review. I am the Bearded Geek. Joining me as always is Mikey the Freak.
What's up?
Bebo cannot be with us today, but he did leave his thoughts on the movie that we are about to preview. It is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1990.
Heroes in a half shell.
Turtle power. It is four Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles emerge from the shadows to protect the New York City from a gang of criminal ninjas. This it is writers Kevin Eastman, Peter Laird, and story by Bobby Herbeck. So this movie, it's basically Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on a mission to get back their father, which is a big rat named Splinter, from a dude who can open up just about any can he ever wants to, called the Shredder.
Can opener.
And his band of ninjas called the Foot Clan. Now, if you could follow that, this movie is actually based off the cartoon from the late 80s, which is also based off a comic book, which Kevin Eastman and Laird wrote as well. So this movie is before CGI, so the characters are in costumes. There's no CGI. Everything is done live action. There's no computer generated anything in this movie, I don't believe.
No.
It's I almost enjoyed that more than CGI. I kind of liked for its time, you could tell some of the mouth movements was a little bit off from what they were actually saying. The mouth may have moved a little slow or stuff like that, but it was fairly accurate. Oh, and before I get going, this movie was one of my favorite movies. It's one of the movies I actually remember most as a kid going to the theaters to see. Like, I remember coming out of this movie thinking that this was awesome. So this brings back major nostalgia for me. Because I used to love the turtle. What kid didn't go around, get a broomstick, and pretend he was Donatello for a minute?
Exactly.
I mean, let's face it.
Or get a couple forks and think they're Shredder.
Right.
Hold the forks in your hands like a Wolverine, but I'm Shredder.
Yeah.
Probably one of the most. I think this movie, like especially in the 90s, probably 90 or even in the early 90s up to like 95, was probably the most worn Halloween costume I ever saw when I was little. And everybody wanted to be Michelangelo just because of how funny the character was, and it had that comedic performance in the movie. And I always liked Leonardo because I always liked holding the big swords. I always wanted the swords. That was me.
I bet you liked holding the big swords, buddy.
Shut up.
Right. I was Michelangelo. I was cowabunga, and I love pizza too. And
the biggest one-liner slogan or word that you could say, and everybody our age or even younger would know that cowabunga is a Teenage Mutant Ninja. It's Michelangelo.
Yes, I mean, you say cowabunga, and that's the first thing just about anybody thinks of. Absolutely. Michelangelo. All right. So this movie, I basically described what this movie is about. It's a fun movie. I thought that this was well written, believe it or not. I thought that the character development in this, you saw the turtles go from being, just a bunch of kind of screw up, kids to
like
kind
little
of
kids,
to becoming super serious and care about each other, coming together as a family. Not that they weren't before, but I mean, you saw the development of each character. Each character had their own personalities. Casey Jones in this was in this movie. That was a really good surprise. The hockey mask and everything, that was
Hmm.
really good. Um,
And
it,
Elias Koteas, he played Casey Jones in this movie, and I think that he did a pretty fabulous job because well, just recently, we watch him in Chicago PD, and I completely forgot he was in this movie. So rewatching it, and I'm like, hey, there's the guy from Chicago PD. So it's referencing referencing these actors to back in 1990 was like, wow, they were young,
hmm
but they were still good actors back then. I mean, and this movie was always fun to watch. But the entertainment factor and what you were kind of playing off of each character had kind of their
hmm
own personality. Even with not just the turtles and with Splinter, but like April was the
hmm
same exact way. Getting fired and then have to, getting her job back at the end, having that power, be like, whatever you want, I want more money. All
hmm
right, done. And then Casey Jones's character being kind of a punk thug that kind of was wanted to be a superhero
Vigilante.
at the
He's basically a vigilante.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. That's a good word for him. To kind of becoming that good guy and wanting to realize that there's a bigger evil out there, and it's not just these turtles. They're like, hey, these guys are my friends, but the Foot Clan and Shredder is the one that we really need to focus on,
Right.
not just not just us. So you see his character develop, and then the love story between Casey Jones and April. It's kind of like it was late last minute, and you kind of can see it in the last probably 20, 30 minutes of the movie. You can kind of see it develop,
But you
and
saw
you're
the
like, all right,
progression of it. You could see
yeah,
the whole progression
yeah,
of it. Yeah.
yeah, and you can kind of see it to where it's like, all right, it's a happy ending, kiss already, get it over with, that kind of
Basically.
deal. Yeah,
Basically.
yeah. So that was always interesting to follow each character through the movie at the beginning of being immature teenagers that just wanted pizza and just to have fun, and then have this responsibility to act together into
hmm
this movie, to stop Shredder. Was It's pretty good as a movie in 90. And yeah, and no CGI. Shit. This movie's amazing with no
Right.
CGI.
I think
You
the
just don't expect it.
only CGI ish thing that they had was when they were at the farmhouse and the turtles had to meditate and bring up the image of Splinter, and
Yeah.
that was, and that could be like a green screen or something like that, but it was well written. It was, and it's an impactful scene. Like Splinter is telling his kids goodbye, and
Hmm.
to this day, even when I rewatched it, I still got that lump in my throat. Like, don't like, don't you cry, don't you cry. This is a freaking kids movie. Don't you
Don't
dare
you
cry.
cry. Don't you cry.
But yeah, I got that lump in my throat, and
These
I got
movies
it.
can be emotional for adults too.
Yeah,
It'd
I
have
mean,
been okay if you shedded a tear. It would have been acceptable.
I'm not gonna say I didn't. I just said I got a lump in my throat. I didn't expand
Oh,
on that.
a little
So,
choked up, little choked
look,
up. I get it. I
little
get it.
bit, little bit. But I mean, that's really the only CGI that there was in this whole movie. Yeah, there was special effects, but the stunt, it was all stunt work too. Uh,
Yeah.
the karate in it was your basic, kids movie karate. It wasn't kung fu. It wasn't Enter the Dragon
Hmm.
or anything like
No.
that. But
Yeah.
it was kids karate, but it was
Hmm.
done well for and shot well for these people to have to be in costumes to try to pull off some of these moves. Like they were doing flips and stuff in the costume. Like
Yeah, that's amazing.
that's
Imagine how heavy they probably were too.
exactly,
And to
that
still try to
had to
do that?
be
Yeah, I
that
can
had to
imagine.
be so much weight that they were flipping around with. And I mean, I'm sure that they had wires on them or whatever doing the flips, but
Yeah.
it looked really good.
Oh, absolutely.
But like I said, I enjoyed this movie from start to beginning,
Hmm.
from start to end, and the character development was really good for just about every character.
Hmm.
The even the
The
uh
sun.
the
I was gonna
son,
think that too. Yeah,
Danny.
even the son was the same exact way, coming from a thief to join this crew to be like, you know what, they're the bad guys.
Right.
We need to fight against them too. So joining forces as a family to fight against Strider, that's good.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was, and the cinematography on it like was really good. There wasn't too many super cheesy sines. Yeah, I mean, it's a Turtles movie. There
it
was
was
a couple.
1990.
Yeah,
There's
it was
always super
1990. There's
cheesy
gonna be some
scenes.
cheesy, like the Domino's thing, or whatever was it, Pizza Hut, Domino's. I don't remember what it was, but 30 minutes. He's got 10 more minutes, or it's three
Yeah.
dollars off, something like that.
And that was back then, that was the slogan for delivery, 30 minutes or less or
Yeah,
your pizza's free. And they really pushed that they pushed that slogan
they
and pushed that expectation from pizza companies.
they really
And
did.
I think that's really where we always got the slogan, well, 30 minutes and it's free. We're not paying for it. And you're going to pay the guy because that's kind of messed up.
Right.
But I never had a pizza that was more than 30 minutes to your house. And now you're definitely going to have it more than 30 minutes to your house. That's not an expectation anymore.
No,
It definitely takes a lot longer now.
no, it's like 45 to an hour a lot of times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're like, oh yeah, we don't do that no more.
30
That
minutes.
was 30 years ago.
Yeah, I'm sure they lost a lot of money on that slogan. 30 minutes or it's free.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's like shit, it takes 30 minutes to get to my house.
Yeah,
Like,
but
yeah.
like I said, this movie it gave me the feels in some ways. I was laughing a lot.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Forgot how funny the movie was.
yeah, I mean it had some really funny moments. Um, I don't know what else to say without getting into my actual rating. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get into my rating. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and give this movie 8.5. I thought
Mhm.
this movie was told a really good story. It had its beginning, it had the middle, and it had an end. It had its different sections of the movie. It
Yeah.
it weaved a good story. The cinematography, I thought it was shot great. For a kids, well, an adult. I mean, I still enjoy this
Yeah.
movie. So, 8.5, right? Solid 8.5 as well. It's
Mhm.
not a weak 8.5.
The 8.45.
Yeah. How about you, Mikey? How would you give this
Um,
movie?
well, the movie, it definitely, being, as an adult now, you look back on it, and yes, it is an entertaining movie. But when you get into like the puppetry, you can tell
Mm-hmm.
Jim Henson had his finger on this type of stuff. In which they were Jim Henson puppets.
Mm-hmm.
The four actors that were in the suits, and it's a fun fact that all of them actually had a part in the movie. One of them that did Donatello in the suit was actually the pizza delivery guy.
Oh, really?
So I thought that was kind of interesting that they all actually, and a couple of them were, two of them were part of the Foot Clan. So that was kind of interesting as well. Um, but it was more of um, kind of bringing back the nostalgia of. I watched a lot of those puppetry shows, back in the '90s. I was a huge Jim Henson fan with Fraggle
Fraggle
Rock
Rock. I was just about to
and
say
Muppet
Fraggle Rock. Yeah.
Babies and all that kind of stuff. Kermit the Frog. I was a huge
Mm-hmm.
Kermit fan. I love the Muppets. So to kind of see this, not just a hand puppet, but an actual, a puppet that you
Full
can
suit.
get in, a full suited puppet was actually amazing back in 1990.
Mm-hmm.
Now with CGI and audio animatronics and all that kind of stuff, now
Yeah.
they don't need to do that. They just need to do the voiceover work and you're good. So so I thought that was pretty interesting. And the one that did Raphael, Kevin Pius, actually was the only one that was um, in the suit and did the voice for Raphael with the Brooklyn accent.
Oh, okay.
And he was actually claustrophobic. So I thought I thought that was kind of
how,
weird.
how do
Yeah,
you
so
do that, man? You got to
I know,
overcome your
right?
fears on that one, man.
Yeah, so he actually suffered from just a quick, I know I'm kind of going off tangent real quick, but I just thought this was interesting. So Josh, who played Raphael, will suffer from claustrophobia. After filming Raphael's scenes, he would have to take the helmet off very quickly. He is also the only actor that turtled the voice, did the voice for it too. So yeah, so suffering for claustrophobia and being in this costume, I thought was pretty amazing. So that
Yeah.
to me, that actually boosted my score. I gave it an 8 because I liked the
Okay.
comedy. Um, I did like the kind of the acrobatics and wondering how the hell could they do that in such a costume. Um, the voice of Donatello was Corey Feldman, so I thought that was kind of ironic and
Oh,
funny that we just did Goonies
yeah.
and now we're doing this and you're like, holy shit, now you can't even get Corey Feldman's voice out
Oh,
of your head when you're listening to Donatello.
you can't. I did
Um,
not know that was his. I did not know that was Corey Feldman until I
yeah,
rewatched it
yeah,
after I found that fact out, and that's all I heard was Corey Feldman. I didn't hear Donatello anymore. That was Corey Feldman.
yeah, exactly. And he was a huge actor in the late 80s, early 90s. So, and he did so much stuff. So he was everywhere. He had his hand in anything. But yeah, so the puppetry, the charismatic fight sequences. Again, they were kind of, I'd say, kiddie, but it wasn't really, to me, not really kiddie. It's more of a basic
Mm,
karate or basic ninjutsu,
yeah.
I guess. Just kind of like throw a punch and you just like block it left and block it right. Very very basic type stuff.
Well,
So
Leonardo
yeah,
has a
I'd say
sword
eight.
and he don't use it. Basically, he uses it to block. You don't use it to do anything else. And it looks like I may have lost Mikey the Freak. Uh, so I'm gonna go ahead and continue this. If he jumps back on, uh, I'll let him continue. But as of right now, it looks like I may have lost him. So I'm gonna continue. Brian, or I'm sorry, Bebo, Bebo says he liked the movie and he always has. He says, I love the little comedy one liners and stuff. I love the beginning when Michelangelo was like, the pizza dude's got 30 seconds. Very nostalgic. Not the greatest April. He didn't care for the April. And I lost Mikey. Oh no. Now I have to adjust things. Give me 1 second, people. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can get Mikey back. Let me see if I can get him back. Little tech, little technical issue. Let's try this one more time, shall we? I'm not gonna edit this. This is gonna be how it goes. Anyway. Oh, lordy, lordy. Anyway, I'll do this so you can see me. I'll be in Mikey's box here. Anyway, Brian said he would definitely rate this a 9.0. So he gave this movie a 9.0 overall. Um, since we are having a little technical difficulty, I think I'm going to end this right here and say, and sorry for the technical difficulty in the videos, but I am the Bearded Geek, and for Mikey the Freak, I want to tell you, keep it retro, everybody.